A Russian submarine stricken with a serious fuel leak has surfaced off Brittany and is being tracked by the French Navy. Meanwhile, leaked documents describe how a Russian missile corvette collided with a civilian tanker on the 7th of August 2025. The Vichke OGPU Telegram channel reports that the Russian Black Sea Fleet submarine Novorossiysk B-261 has surfaced off the coast of Brittany. It is being monitored by a French Navy frigate, according to NATO's Maritime Command. VTHK OGPU reports that the submarine's fuel system is damaged and is leaking directly into the hull. There are no repair parts or qualified specialists on board, and the crew is unable to fix the malfunction. The serious accident has led to other problems. The fuel accumulated in the hull is an explosive hazard. The source believes that the crew has no choice but to start draining the hull directly into the sea. The Project 636.3 Varshavianka-class submarine is relatively new, having been launched in 2013 and accepted into the 4th Separate Submarine Brigade of the Black Sea Fleet in 2014. It was on a combat patrol in the Mediterranean Sea when the problem occurred. This is the second serious setback for the Black Sea Fleet in recent months. On 7th August, the Project 21,631 Boyan-M small missile corvette, Vishny Volochyok, part of the 41st Missile Ship and Boat Brigade, collided with the civilian tanker Nazan in the Sea of Azov off Crimea. The 41st Brigade's commander, Captain First Rank Oleg Sardin, blamed a Ukrainian UAV attack and claimed that the collision had not harmed its operational readiness. However, leaked photographs show that the ship sustained serious damage. A leaked report by the Russian Navy is scathing about the failures of the ship's command crew. The commander is criticized for failing to ensure the safety of its navigation, radio system, and preventing collisions at sea. The assistant commander is similarly criticized. The commander of Vishny Volochyok's Radio Technical and Communications Combat Unit is also criticized for failing to organize the ship's surveillance and not passing on information to the ship's watch officer. Blame is also directed towards incompetent management of the tactical group and the lack of organization of the safety of navigation of ships on the part of the Chief of Staff of the unit. Captain Sardin himself is personally blamed for failure to fulfill his official duties to control the division's ships, ensure the safety of navigation during joint maneuvering, and failed to take measures to deploy the division's command post at sea by the commander of a division of small missile ships. The classified report describes how the collision happened. At 1:20 on 7 August, the Azov Naval Missile Commander transmitted an unmanned danger signal to the small missile group, placing the unit's ships on alert. At the time, Vishny Volochyok was patrolling waters in the southeastern part of the Sea of Azov from the Kerch Strait to the Temryuk lighthouse. At 3:12, the ship's MR-231 navigation radar detected the tanker Nazan, but the officer in charge failed to track it. The tanker weighed anchor at the same time and began moving on a general course of 110 degrees at a speed of 7 knots to the outer roadstead of the Temryuk seaport. At 3:20, Vishny Volochyok was traveling ahead of the tanker and made a 90-degree course change towards Temryuk port. This put the tanker in the blind spot of Vishny Volochyok's navigation radar. At 3:34, following the order of the commander of the control group, the corvette turned to a course of 124 degrees at 9 knots to proceed along the coastline. Vishny Volochyok was operating on only 2 of her 4 engines at the time, in violation of naval operating guidelines. At 3:50, the ship's commander left the bridge to go to his cabin without handing over to his deputy, who was acting as the watch officer. At 3:59, UAVs were detected in the vicinity of Temryuk. The commander of the small missile group ordered his vessels to execute a sharp turn to the opposite course. This triggered a chain of mishaps and misjudgments, exacerbated by poor training that led to the collision. The ship's assistant commander did not give the watch officer and the watch officer a command to assess the safety of turning to a new course. He assessed the safety of the turn independently by visually inspecting the sector on the port side. At 4:02, contact with the tanker was re-established on the MR-231 navigation radar during a circling maneuver. The distance was 6.6 cables, 1,220 meters. Due to the low professional training of the radio technical commander, the tanker's movement parameters were not determined. The ship's assistant commander saw the target's speed on the MR-231 remote indicator as 0 knots and concluded that the target was not moving and posed no threat to the small missile ship. As a result, the assistant commander took no action to avoid the tanker for 2 minutes. At 4:04 a.m., the portside watchkeeper reported to the small missile corvette's assistant about spotting a vessel on a course of 35 degrees, approximately 600 meters away, with a searchlight shining toward the small missile ship. To avoid a collision, the assistant ordered the helmsman to rudder right 35 degrees, but, in violation of the requirements of the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, COLREGs, did not order the vessel to slow down or stop. The tanker captain, seeing the inevitability of a collision with the small missile ship, gave the command, "Stop the engine," and, in violation of the requirements of the COLREGS 72, rudder to port. At 4:05 on 7th August 2025, the small missile ship Vyshny Volochysk collided with the tanker Nazan, tangentially on its port side in the area of the signal bridge in favorable hydrometeorological conditions. It's not known what punishment, if any, has been meted out to the officers responsible. However, the incident shows once again that, as with the sinking of the missile cruiser Moskva, there are serious failings with the competence and training of the Russian Navy. From the other stories, Ukrainian Air Force intercepted a Russian Iskander-K cruise missile using a Buk M1 system over Sumy region. It's vital for Ukraine to shoot down Iskander ballistic missiles that saves lives, protects infrastructure and morale, and denies Russia the strategic strikes that could reshape the battlefield. Russians are terrified by the idea of supplying Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. Peskov claims that long-range missiles like the Tomahawk could carry nuclear warheads and warns that Russia can't know whether Ukraine might use a dirty bomb. He questions how Russia should interpret such launches, saying Western experts must understand this.
Listening to Trump in Missmito, it's unclear what he means, whether Tomahawks can be supplied or not, but yesterday, as far as I remember, the US representative to NATO stated that they could supply some special weapon to Ukraine that would change the situation. That's the statement.
Well, there are indeed many statements, and we still need to sort them out. We carefully record all of them. The topic of Tomahawks causes us extreme concern, as President Putin has already mentioned. This weapon is special. It can be in a non-nuclear or nuclear version. High range, serious weapon, but it cannot change the situation on the fronts. However, right now is indeed a very dramatic moment in terms of tension being escalated from all sides. The Russian side continues to say that we are ready for a peaceful settlement, and we also hear that Trump keeps talking about the need to sit down at the negotiating table. From this, we conclude that he still maintains political will, but the Europeans and the Kyiv regime demonstrate an absolute unwillingness to do anything in this direction.
You yourself said that Tomahawks can be both non-nuclear and nuclear. I understand that the extreme danger is if this weapon suddenly ends up in the hands of the Kyiv regime. At the moment of launching this missile, Russia might suspect that it could be a nuclear missile heading our way.
Well, remember the reports from our special services 1.5, 2 years ago about the available information that the Ukrainians might make some kind of dirty bomb, so-called. And now imagine a long-range missile takes off and flies, and we know it could be nuclear. What is the Russian Federation supposed to think? How?
Military experts across the ocean should understand this, right?
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
gets 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.